Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Damn. He said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail. What is up, everybody? It is your ever-loving Uncle Fish back again for the School of Fish art stream. I know it's been a hot minute, but I've been knocking out books like Alice Lost in Wonderland, issues 1 and 2, Green Zone issue 4, bunch of issues of the Sentinels, all that stuff. But I have to get started back doing the art stream again. I got to come back and see all my buddies. And I wanted to bring my buddy, Uncle E, Esteban Carrero from Ultra Comics in to help me out, to help me out, give insight on what it's like to be an illustrator, help me out reading the comments and everything, keep it interesting, keep an interesting conversation and not just me talking to myself. Because we all know it gets pretty weird when I'm sitting here talking to myself.
I mean, listen, man, I hear you. One minute I'm talking about my own comic books, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to think about Samurai Fish from Planet X. I don't know how we got there, but we're talking there, and it be like that sometimes.
Oh,
yeah.
man. I get to telling stories and talking in voices and making the sound effects, and it gets pretty messed up pretty quick. So, it's good to have somebody else around, keep me sane for a minute while we're
I
in
mean,
here.
hey, best to be in the company of others to help improve and to help the others inspire all and hopefully inspire more, as usually as my saying goes. As cocky as that sounds, oh my gosh. Stay humble, man. Stay humble.
There's nothing wrong with being proactive in trying to share joy and inspire people. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're saying I am the coolest person in the world and I should be inspiring you all to be as cool as me, that's a different thing. But trying to encourage people to do good stuff, that's always a good thing. So, what have you been up to, man? What are you doing in your creative journey right now?
So thus far, I have been currently doing a lot of the public domain redesign series, and unfortunately, given some weird complications with my first YouTube channel, it is unable to get monetized in any way, shape, and form, which really sucks. So unfortunately, I had to open up a new account, which has been doing pretty okay. I'm going to be primarily uploading Fridays, but these are going to be some pretty heftier length videos because the most recent videos I've been posting on my former account were very much like 5, at most 10. But basically, I've just been taking a lot of characters from the public domain and some from the open source, redesigning them, giving them a fresh coat of paint, and kind of putting my own spin on some of these characters. Recently, I actually did my own take on creating a Superman character, and I used a public domain hero by the name of Amazing Man, and then modified it to kind of look similar to Superman, but also isn't Superman, so it's like legally distinct. So I'm actually proceeding to do some other stuff, and I'm actually in the process of wanting to start a new series on my second channel called Rolling for a Hero, where I'm going to be utilizing D&D dice. We're just going to get some stats going, get to roll up some hero concepts. I actually was contemplating bringing you along and also dragging another channel named PD Hero Comics. They actually specialize in doing the exact thing I was doing, which is taking characters from the Golden Age and then just bringing them into a new light. That's like the primary focus of her channel. But for me, I'm trying to like branch out to do some other fun stuff like Roll for Hero or Rolling for a Hero. Obviously the public domain redesign. And of course, the main event of it all, I am going and remastering my first book of The Unbeatables. So this is actually going to be like a complete, total, like remastered interpretation of my very first book, which was just, the team fighting like a horde of giant robots. And then there was like a second book that I worked on, but it's going to be like formatted into a manga style. It's all going to be compressed. It's going to be this larger, more high octane action packed book. So new characters are involved, and some that were influenced, of course, by my good friend over here, Mr. Fish.
I love the pages that I've seen so far, and I love the steering into the manga style. I really like that, especially for your style. I think is going to look really cool. And the first book was really exciting, and I was glad I thought to record myself while I was reading it. I don't know why that occurred to me at the moment, but I laughed so much and I like made so many sound effects and was like, "Oh my god," when I was reading it. I'm glad I recorded myself because it was so much fun reading the first issue. I can't wait to see the fully redone, remastered version.
Oh
I
yeah,
know it's
especially
going to be awesome.
because what's it called? I unfortunately had to switch out a few characters. Only one of them I had to switch out. One of them I ended up converting or switching up the costume a little bit. So the first one is unfortunately Crustacean, which was the giant like crab lady. So I had to switch her out for Rocket Fist, which again I know you helped me out with the design when I made it first, and then you kind of made it your own thing. And collaboratively, we ended up creating like this very unique character. And I very much enjoyed the way that this character was made, and I think he brought a lot of story potential for my superhero team. So I'm definitely using him. I will use Crustacean in other obviously later down the road. I definitely have plans for her and some other unique little endeavors and whatnot. But yeah, so I've been primarily working a lot with the Unbeatables as of this moment. Again, I really wanted to remaster that book because I believe there is it can be done, and I know it could do better. Especially the reason being is when I was working with the guys over at Lucky 33 on Galactic Delivery Dudes, my ability or like I don't know what had happened, but like I started making the pages, and I was like, why am I making this look way awesome for this? Why didn't I do this for my superhero stuff? Now, obviously, different timing, different skills were
Yeah,
enhanced.
you're getting better and better as you go. Like
But
you're
this is
evolving.
like this is where I'm drawing the line because unfortunately, I know that there's the reboot. I call it the reboot bug. I know that for some people, they make their first book, but then it's like, oh, it's not perfect, and then you got to remake it over and over and over and over again. So for me, this is like I'm drawing the line. It's here. It's all or nothing. Let's give this a shot. So I'm not doing anything else outside of like this is the book that's gonna start everything that I know, because I can English. We can
I
all English.
definitely I see the desire, especially if somebody's a writer and they're hiring an artist, and like you started out and you tried to go as budget friendly as you could and hired some guy for like 20 bucks a page, and now you've seen what it's like to hire professionals that do really good jobs on later books, and now your first book looks yeah so so, and your third book looks really cool, and you hate selling that first issue to people because that's the one they want to buy at the con first, and it doesn't look as good, and you're afraid they're not going to come back. I get it. Um, but also, like when you're the creator, you're the artist, like we are, then also like I know my art has changed in the 6 years since I started because
Mm-hmm.
I've worked on over 100 books now, and like that's just the sheer volume of pages I've done has has evolved my style since then, and it doesn't look exactly the same as it did in the beginning. Green Zone looks drastically different
Oh yeah.
because it was a couple of years between when I did the first issue and when I did issue 4, and I just have to be okay with that. Like I have evolved, it's my work, it's going to change. Now, if I had hired $20 a page guy for issue 1 and then I did issue 4, maybe I would want to go back and
Yeah,
redo it.
no, for sure. And I mean, not only that, but for me, it's also just story wise because two of the characters that threw me off the most was actually Crustacean and Blue Angel because I didn't fully know how to like execute their story and their plan and whatnot. And I thought I had something. Maybe that something is still going to be there. But again, I wanted to try to find a more unique approach to them
I think
because,
Rocket Fist really puts a new interesting flavor,
bro,
and I mean it really knocks the whole thing up a notch adding him in.
literally, he is by far like if I had to have the top three favorite heroes that I have created for this team of heroes, ultra or powerful is what I call him now. Instead of calling him ultra power, he's called powerful. Emerald Turtle, because I'm a Floridian. We love
I
turtles.
dig it. I dig Emerald Turtle.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that I went the more Power Rangers edge on his end of things. And then of course Rocket Fist. That character was specifically meant to be like a superhero character for an RPG that a friend of mine was going to run, and then I ran it on your little one shot, which was a ton of fun. I would love to do that again, especially because it turns out the guy's from New Jersey, so he's like he's this Jersey
It's funny
jerkwad.
what you figure out when you start playing.
Oh no, seriously, it's hilarious. But it's like the guys are from New Jersey, and he's like, look, I know the mafia, I know these kind of people. You think I don't know? I'm from Jersey. Like I love Rocket Fist on that end of things. And of course, the fact that like also design wise, he just had like these giant empowering like just like Rocket Fist. Surprisingly enough, here's a fun fact too. I didn't realize it. So just for kicks and giggles, because at some point, some person out there probably had a similar name to the idea that you may or may not have. So for kicks and giggles, I look online. I'm like, okay, let me just look up Rocket Fist, just in case. There happens to be a webtoon by the name of Rocket Fist, which is actually about a girl who is like an amputee, and she actually has like cybernetic parts and whatnot, and it's like a whole thing. It's a really awesome story too. So I would recommend it to anyone out there who wants to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's something to look for when you're thinking up a new name. I actually had to change the name of the original name of Green Zone because I found out, like, as I was looking into it, that the name I was going to use was already like trademarked and stuff for books that were never published, but they went ahead and tied up the trademark just in case. And I'm like, dang. So I had to rethink it and ended up going with Green Zone Life in the Blocks.
What was the original name for it?
Originally, it was going to be G Unit, which I know, like, is a rap song too, but it's this unit for, the genomes in the green zone, and it
Mm.
just that G Unit for the genome unit just worked in my head, and I was planning on having, like, the G Unit, like, PD for them and, like, the G Unit fire department for the fire department story that I'd like to
Oh.
do at some point, and, like,
Oh.
and G Unit ER and G Unit Special Forces and,
So
like, be able to do
essentially,
all those different stories.
the world of the Green Zone is essentially just take all of the soap operas that are doctor shows, uh, firefighter shows, policeman
Yeah.
shows, and just basically put mutant, super heroic individuals in there.
Yeah, yeah, just put mutants with really tough lives in there and,
Dude,
like,
honestly,
see how the fireworks go off, you
bro,
know?
my sisters would be the first ones to watch because they love stuff like that. They love all those kind of shows, especially
Oh, yeah.
SVU.
The the worst criticism I've gotten so far for Green Zone, and it wasn't that bad, but a creator that I really respect was like, "My problem is it reads like an episodic cop show." And I was like, "Well, yeah, it kinda is." And he's like, "Cop books don't sell." And I was like, "Well, that'll suck." But I
I
mean, that's
mean,
that's what the
not
story
gonna lie,
is.
if you
Like,
pitched your book to some studio, I would like to believe some of them might be intrigued by the concept.
mhm.
Just
And
an opinion. Nobody asked for it.
the one thing about it though that I didn't consider was, like, when I'm at a con pitching that book to people just walking by at a show, as soon as I say police or cops or whatever, they whatever their take is on the cops, they instantly assume I have the opposite opinion. Doesn't matter what it is.
Ooh.
And they're done a lot of times. Like, that happens maybe 6 out of 10 times when I'm
Oof.
pitching it. So I've had to try and rework my pitch to explain that, because whatever you think about the cops, this story isn't that. Like,
Yeah.
it may touch on it, good and bad. Like, it hits on the good and the bad of everything, but it's really about the lives of these people that have grown up with the deck stacked against them, and the only way out of the ghetto is risking their lives. And so they're not equipped for this. This isn't a job they would have asked for, but
Right.
they've got to do this to try and earn their citizenship to make a better life for themselves. So they're willing to risk it all to get something better. And
Mm.
it's really about what it's like when the deck's stacked against you. And no matter how hard you try, the world keeps knocking you down. It's about that and these characters. But it just so happens to take place in a corrupt law enforcement system. And you see how everything's working against them,
Right.
and the other cops are working against them, and their own kind are kind of looking down on them. And it's a no win scenario.
Right. And then this
And
also kind of takes place. Your book Green Zone takes place in a world with at least superhero, supervillains
mhm,
type of stuff. This
yeah.
also includes like aliens or all that other kind of crazy shenanigan like stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's all of that stuff, which is part of why it's so easy for regular humans to look at somebody who's born a genome and be like, he's a supervillain waiting to happen. Because,
Mm.
because surprise, surprise, if you take away everybody's rights and their ability to profit and make a better life for themselves, and you keep kicking them down every time they try and reach for the rung up on the ladder, eventually some of them are going to get mad and lash out and, start
Crash
robbing
out,
banks and stuff.
logically so.
And they're gonna go the route they can. If you can throw fireballs or knock down walls, why not go rob a bank if there's no other way to try and make a living? And
Mm.
if everybody's already afraid of you, well, then I'll give them a reason to be afraid. Like, it's an easy thing. It's an easy self-fulfilling prophecy to happen, and
Right.
to have to try and fight against this idea that you're a supervillain waiting to happen all the time, no matter. no matter how nice you've tried to be, no matter how much you've sacrificed to try and help somebody else, for everybody to be willing to turn on you so quickly, like they do in the end of book 4 with Virgil, like they go from cheering him as a hero one page to at the end of the book, they're throwing rocks at him and screaming that he's a monster and he needs to go back to the green zone. And like, he just risked his life over and over, going in and out of a burning building, saving people, bringing them out one after another. But, by the end of the book, he's a monster again because
Mm.
it doesn't take much. When people are already looking down at you, it doesn't take much to confirm that bias they already had.
Right. It's
And
like,
like,
a lot of these people are speaking it into existence, and in
mhm,
doing so, though the other side may go against it, or they're making their efforts to be better than those, than what they're claiming, they're still kind of like, again, it's like a justifiable crash out situation.
mhm.
Like the more you keep telling them, the more like, all right, fine, I'll justifiably affirm what you're saying because this is all
And
you're
there's a
saying, and I'm trying to get out of it.
and not only is there a wedge between like humans and genomes, there's a wedge between like non-scary looking genomes and the scarier looking genomes. Like Virgil's 8 foot tall lizard monster.
Right.
And so people already have issues with him because like you're the reason that people think that I'm a monster and stuff like that when
Mm.
when I might could blend in with society if it wasn't for people like you making us look bad. And and he's just trying to live his life. I mean, he
Yeah,
can't help the
he's a,
fact that he's
he's a
that
sweet
big.
bean. He's a sweet boy. We love him. We love Virgil.
But yeah, but that's something that I did not think about when it came time to pitching. And also like the world changed a lot and woke up a lot over like the 4 years between like when I started on it and when I'm pitching it now and stuff. Like things have changed a lot. And
Same here.
while it is kind of an episodic cop show, it's also really more just about these people than it is about like it's not like pro cop, you know,
No, it's
shows,
a
but it's also not 100% anti. It's just this is what it is. It's a sucky
yeah.
system, and you know
And
it's
you're
not
basically,
perfect.
the entirety of the Green Zone is just an underdog story, and you're trying to root for these people trying to get out of the situation, no matter how bad or how good it looks. It's more like a just look. I'm trying my best to get out of this, and I know it
Hmm.
ain't looking pretty, but nothing in life is.
Yeah.
And that's a really good way to kind of put it in. And surprisingly enough, like, and when you were mentioning about like how comic book worlds also kind of like switch up, or like the more you work on them, something like that similar happened with me when creating the Unbeatables, because at first it was like a generic Marvel DC knockoff universe. I'm also going to be utilizing every public domain character I've drawn as like a background character, just to say like, hey, look, see, not to Superman,
You
not a
should.
Batman. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would love to expand on those characters, but that's a different topic for a different day though. So a part of me started thinking about like, what do I want this universe to feel like? What is the overall vibe of this? So of course the first one choice that came to mind that made this universe feel like, something that I would want to be like, it would be Teen Titans. That to me was obviously, that was like primary goal number one. Love Teen Titans. One of the good Teen Titans, I should say, not Go. Teen Titans, made in the early 2000s, the one that has anime influences. That one to me was like the best show. And then other ideas that came in mind was like the world setting of My Hero Academia with a touch, and I'm talking like a literal singular grain of salt of Invincible, because if too much and
Mhm.
you're already getting into violent territory.
Yeah.
So like for me, the idea would be that in this world, there's also kind of like in My Hero Academia, there are people who are like paid to be heroes. They are hero organizations. They are heroes that work for the governments, for different nations, different parts of the world, or some that try to make it their own thing. So the Unbeatables are actually a group of vigilantes now. They're like non-registered heroes because they're just trying to make the world a better place. But each character has their own situation, and this is actually the first time I'm ever talking about this, in any format. So, like for instance, Powerful is actually the son of this world's greatest super team, the Ultra Five, uh, because he's the son, and unfortunately, something happened to where all five of the members are dead except for him. Then we have Blue Angel, who's actually part of this universe's interpretation of the X-Men, but she ended up leaving due to some conflicts that ended up arising, and realizing that she's not really enjoying the system that's a part of this. And what's it called? So that's Blue Angel. And then we have Emerald Turtle, who's now a convicted felon in China because, the character is Emerald Turtle. It was actually Green Turtle. He's a public domain character. So the way that I wrote his story out is that he's a convicted felon, so to say. More like the government's blaming him because he discovered the truth that the company that made him a hero made the monsters that he fought.
Mm.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So now he has to try to, like, more or less claim his innocence, kind of a thing, and to show the world that, hey, this is kind of messed up. Then Booth is actually an Australian race car driver. Think like Speed Racer in this world. And all of a sudden, one crazy accident happened, and now he has super speed himself. It turns out it was a rigged situation. And then Rocket Fist is actually a super villain trying to go into being a hero because he's trying to atone for the sins of the past, given how he's done a lot of messed up things, and he's not really fond of what he's done. Then you have one other character who's actually a fresh new face to the whole thing, Lovebug, who's kind of like a Spider-Man adjacent character, just happens to have a lot of powers related to bugs, and just really wants to do the right thing. But now she's going to be chucked in a whole world of insanity, realizing that it's not what it's all cracked up to be. So
I forgot which keyboard I was working on. I turned my screen
yeah, no,
off.
trust me, I get it. I'm yapping, you're listening, and you got to listen. Multitasking is really difficult. I'll give you that.
Oh man, I'm saying.
All right.
One thing I wanted to do on this episode was go over an advanced style of building asset that I've started using when I need to do really cool buildings, like really intricate buildings. Like we did an episode earlier about making like, images of buildings and a quick way to throw them up in the background and
Yes.
stuff. And I still use those like all day every day.
Same here.
And but I came up like for those times that I need to make a new original building quickly, or for those times that I need to make something a little more complicated or a little more unique or a little more interesting or something that I'm going to be closer to and need to have more complex geometry on the outsides of and stuff where
Mm.
like those extended raised pieces go out past the end of the building and go back into perspective and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
This has come in really handy. And I've made like probably 5 of these now, and I've learned a little bit more each time I've built one. And I made them like really complicated with a billion layers at one point. And then I realized I really don't need that much for the basic thing. So I've brought it down to a smaller, I think I've got it down to a much more reasonable size now.
Right.
The first thing that I start out with doing is I'll make a big black block on a raster layer and then I'll convert that to an image material. Just like right click, convert layer, image material, give it a name, and boom. And now it's a shape I can move around and I
Right.
can resize and stuff. Um, what I usually end up doing is I'll click on this is the object select tool here. I'll have it set to free transform, and then I'll come in here and I'll grab an edge and try and move it just a hair, just as slightly as I possibly can. I don't want to really, I don't want to like skew it all the way over here. I want it
Right.
to still be as, oh dang it, wrong keyboard, man. I
It's
keep
all
doing that because
technical
I've got
craziness
so
over
many
here.
keyboards going on. All right, put that back where we had it. Whoops, dropped my laptop. Okay, so I just want to nudge it a little bit. So now when I go into scale and rotate, and it wants to, it'll keep everything even. I
Mm.
should be able to grab on these, and now I can just take it up and down if I want to, and
Right.
I can like just extend it to the side if I want to. So now I
Mm-hmm.
can keep it a rectangle, but I can move it this way, which I couldn't
Right.
do before with scale and rotate. So that
Okay.
one little nudge with the free transform lets me do that now.
Okay.
There may be a better way, and if there is, I want to know what it is, but this is what I found so far that works.
Right.
Um, so, all right, let me get that where I can see it a little better. All right, so now, and I've learned to make this layer black because now I can go to color layer and I can like say make it white or gray or whatever color I want to. Usually when I'm doing just inks, I want it white with a black outline.
Right.
And then I can go to border effect and put an outline border around that
Mm-hmm.
and enlarge it a little bit. And now I have white with a black outline. But the nice thing about it is, like, if I say made another one, made another building, they will overlap each other and I won't see through them because it's not just black outlines and transparent
Right.
background. It makes it a solid shape. It works out really great. Now, if I want to get fancy and like make it a full color building, I can do that. Like, I can pick a color that I want for it and then pick a color that I want for the next piece of it and say make that darker.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can do that if you want to. I just tend to keep it simple. But
Right.
um so I'm going to undo those two things. And now hopefully, let's move that back here. I should still, yeah, I can still move the copy around. So I'm going to make a copy of this that's shorter and a little wider. And that's going to be good enough for now for what I'm doing. I can make as many copies of this as I want. I can move them all over the place. I can make them wider or skinnier or whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
But having one that's big and then one that's small usually works pretty well for what I'm doing. And now I'm going to make a vector layer, and I am going to come in to the tools over here. I've got a straight line made out of square blocks so it doesn't end up with a rounded corner on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to make a straight line right there by holding shift while I'm doing it. I'm going to click on that line. I'm going to enlarge it, just randomly take it up until it's got some thickness to it, and just shrink it to kind of make sure it stays within that main area. And again, I'm going to turn that layer white and put a black outline on it. Because I found, like, if I'm doing like glass and steel buildings, I like to have like thin white beams with a black outline to show
Mm-hmm.
like the metal between them.
Right.
Or I can enlarge the thickness of that white block of the line. I can enlarge the thickness of that and make it really wide and make that be the space between windows on a brick wall or something if I want
Mm-hmm.
to. It just gives me a lot of versatility. And then I'm going to enlarge the thickness on that line a little bit. I'm going to duplicate this layer. So I've got
Okay.
another vector layer on top of it. And then I'm going to take that, I'm going to hold shift while I rotate it. And then I'm going to hold alt while I bring this in evenly. And then grab this guy and bring it in
Sure it
over
all
here.
fits in. Perfect.
And so now I've got like upright beams if I need them on windows,
Right.
or whatever. I can change the thickness of them as I go, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take all of these, I'm going to select them all, hold down the shift key. I'm going to right click, create a folder, and then I'm going to name that folder building 01.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now that I've got that, I'm going to go to edit and register material, image. I have a shortcut on my screen at the top so I can do it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's how you do it without the shortcut. And then it's already got the name of the folder on there. It's saving the whole folder
Okay.
as an asset that I can pull out later, and it'll be the whole
Ah.
folder still in layers. It's not combining it into one
Right.
piece. And that's why I don't have access to like use it as a brush tip or the paper texture or anything else, because it's saving the whole folder and I can't do that with a folder.
Right.
But
Okay.
with the folder, I can bring that whole folder out again later on a new page and have all those things still be editable. And then I'm just going to pick a place to put it. And I have started making a bunch of my own folders down here, and I'm going to stick it in building materials and
Okay.
click OK. So, just for fun and games, we're going to we're going to make that layer invisible. We're going to go over here to the menu and we're going to grab that building asset. We're going to pull it over here into the page like we would
Oh.
do. And now we've got it there. I can move the whole folder around here. The one thing I want to recommend is when you're building the original like face of the building, you want to keep everything straight up and down. It'll be a lot easier if you're building it straight.
Hmm.
Maybe everything's going to be completely skewed at the end. That's fine. But
Right.
when you're making the building, make it flat. It'll save you a lot of hassle.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, you're definitely going on a more advanced thing here because for me, I primarily, and again, I said it before, I primarily work through Procreate, so it is not as fancy. It's much more bare bones, at least in my opinion, in terms of
Oh,
like,
it's got some cool stuff, but it is definitely simpler in some ways compared to.
yeah. And I mean, trust me, the day that I start getting into more, because I used to use Clip Studio, but that's when it was known as Manga Studio. But the day that I get back into this, trust me, I know I'll probably be rewatching all these live streams again to get all this information back installed in here.
And that's
So
one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you on too as co-host is because you use an iPad and I use the PC, and because you use Procreate and I use Clip Studio. I think that'll be a lot of use for people watching to be
mhm.
able to get the different ways this stuff works for
Yeah,
different programs. Um, Now I'm going to take those uprights that I just copied and pasted on that one layer, and I'm going to go over here to align and distribute, which I have because I'm using Clip Studio Paint EX like version 2.0 or whatever.
right.
I paid for the upgrade to that so I can do this. And then I'm going to distribute them horizontally by center so it lines them all up nice and evenly spaced between each other.
Oh man, that must be
And
an OCD's like dream come true for me.
oh,
Like,
I was
oh
so glad when they got align and
man,
distribute. It was driving me nuts.
I can only imagine. Yeah, because for
I
me,
hated eyeballing it.
I was gonna say because what I tend to do because I ended up learning how to create more like stamps on Procreate, which is like again it's like you modify a brush to the point where like I guess you can space out the I guess like when you're the brush stroke per se to where it could just be like a simple
Mhm.
stamp. And I started modifying obviously, from there I more or less, I just kind of made the image of a building itself. Again, kind of like how you're doing it like this. But for me, what I tend to do, I'll just draw the building as like a square, rectangle, whatever, and then I'll start adding in the windows. I'll either put a symmetry layer on there or like I'll modify to where it's only just symmetrical. So then I'm just gonna have to hand draw all the windows and all that other kind of stuff. Or I'll just basically like do just like an assist where it just keeps everything nice and straightforward. And of course, I'll have to go in there and modify some bits here and there. So at least that's what I do. And then from there, because Procreate's a little weird, you have to invert it so that you take your line art, make it
That's weird.
yeah, I know. So instead of making the black line art, you had to make it white, and then it would then present itself to, because then when you put it into the file, it ends up, inverting it to making it it's a whole thing and a half. I don't understand the program, but I
It's
work
weird.
with it. It is. iPads are weird, but I use it. I made my comic with it, so I ain't gonna question it as much. So
Oh,
that's
it's
at
a
least.
great program. It
Oh,
works
100%
well.
is. Yeah, Procreate is also like every artist's dream come true and then some.
I'm
Or
jealous of like what it does with brush strokes and stuff and the way like it looks like ink soaking into paper and stuff. Like they
oh
do
my
that
yeah.
aspect of it really, really well.
Oh my god,
And
listen, I'm the cartoonist of the family because I do not have a normal family. Musician for a dad, a brother, and then another one who's an entrepreneur. Then I have a sister who sings. My mother who is a whole other can of worms in and of itself. And then my littlest sister and myself, we are the visual artists of the family. That woman is a human copy machine. Like I can give her a picture of myself, and then she'll paint it like via through the iPad or on paper itself, and I question my existence. She also went to an art school, so she has more of an upper hand there. Dang, look at that! You already created a whole building and then some, just using all that. The heck?
yeah, it it works really well. And um and you can do so many cool things with these layers like this. I realized later on, like uh that works fine for a building, but if you're like getting in close enough that like maybe I need to be able to see shadows and stuff under it, then I can click on this layer that has all those
Yeah.
side pieces on it and this layer that has all the uprights. I'm going to click on both of those. I'm going to right click, go to duplicate, and it duplicates them in order, so the layers go on top of the one before, like
Right.
the horizontal layer goes on top of the horizontal layer. I'm gonna grab both of them and just drag them down so that now they're underneath the other
Right.
2 layers, and now I'm going to, let's see, I'm gonna click right there and whoa, it took a second to catch up.
Yep.
Alright, let me undo. Alright. I'm gonna go down, down, wait for it to catch up, over, over, and then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna turn that white color off on those layers.
Oh.
And so now I've got shadows. If I don't want it to be that dark of a shadow, I could turn the layer to gray. I could do all
Mm.
kinds of things with it. Um, if I really want to, sometimes with my flatter, maybe I want this to be the edge of the concrete and the edge of the steel or something on here. So if I want to do that, then I can come over here and make this layer like a light gray instead of white. And now my flatter will flat that as a whole different thing now and put it in a different color. And
Interesting.
let's see, where is it? I'm on the wrong layer. Am Where did it go? I know it's here somewhere.
It's somewhere. You couldn't
I
have
know it's
lost
here
it.
somewhere because I can see it. There it is. Oh, that's it. It was the one that I didn't have turned on. Dirt.
All right. So be.
All right. And then make that gray. And now she'll do those all as a different thing. Now, that weird line in there where they're crossing, if I
Mm.
want to get rid of that, then I can come up here and turn off the edge outline on it that I have set.
Oh.
And then I'm going to select both of those. I'm going to put them in their own little folder. And then I'm going to put an edge around that folder. And so now it's that little seam,
Oh.
and now that'll all be one color when she flats it. If I wanna go in and draw little lines to all these little corners so that she does the top one color and the side another, I could do that. I don't feel like doing that, but I could. Um, the other cool thing that that lets you do is, like, if you wanna make, like, some weird shaped buildings or, like, not necessarily weird, but sometimes they do really creative stuff, like with concrete sections and where they have windows and where they don't have windows, stuff like that. Um, all right, so I'm going to take this block down here. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to put it inside a folder. I'm going to take the outline off of that one, and then I'm going to turn off the one that was under it. Uh, no, not that one. Where's the other one? I know it's here. So not that one.
Ugh. Wake up, man. Come on. Hey, man, I'm fine. Sleep over here.
That one.
Ugh.
Where are you? Oh,
I'm
there
in
it is. It was up
Florida.
above.
Anyways.
Okay, now I'm gonna turn the outline on that folder, like I said. I'm gonna beef that outline up, but now I can take that block in there that's just it's the block is black, but I have it set to be white because I
Right.
set the layer to white, and then I put a black outline around it. I can copy and paste that block, and now I can move it around. And if I want a section like this that is, say concrete or brick or whatever on the
Right. Okay.
building, I can do that. And I can copy and paste this section and move it up here if they have just this one little section of windows showing in the building. And then, like,
Right.
our uh our hospital downtown actually looks exactly like this. That's why I made it look like that in green zone, because that's the way the buildings are. When I went to the hospital the other day, um, and those are all separate white blocks in the same folder, but that folder has an outline around it,
Right.
so
So it's like all because it's in one,
it just puts it
like,
around everything in there.
okay.
So I
Interesting.
can move those around, do whatever I want with them, and it will keep that all contained together as if it's one piece. And that is so cool.
That
And then,
really is. That is
oh, I'm
like
saying, man.
that is very intricate. And again, this also, but learning this as well also tends to tie into what we also talked about last time when we did this. Hey, oh there, Pops. How are we doing? Pops
Oh,
Van Zant.
hey, Pops Van Zandt. What is
How
up,
you
man?
doing? Glad to see you here.
Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing.
But kind of something that makes it a little interesting. This also kind of comes back into, I guess, like yes, learning all of these amazing technical skills, but then this also could apply to, again, how are you? What's the city going to look like? What is this region? Again, like the last time we spoke of this, it's like, you know, you don't want to have Batman fighting in a city that's full of these very futuristic or, you know, whatever. You want to obviously make him in a gothic setting. So, you
Mhm.
know, even with all of these methods applied, you know, obviously you want to make sure that the building would also kind of fit the setting as well. Again, technical. I mean, I'm just, you know, kind of going back to an old topic here, but still.
Oh, yeah, but that's it, though. That's the thing. It That's the thing I like about this technique is it lets me customize buildings really quickly to make them look like what I want them to look like if I
Right.
need it for something specific. If I'm doing Gotham, then I want to have like brick textures and stuff on things so I could bring this brick texture in and shrink it down until I get it to like the size I want,
Hmm.
and then I'm going to convert that layer into an image material. And now I'm going to clip that to the folder that has
Hmm.
all those blocks in it.
Yep.
And now it only shows up there. If I set that image to say multiply, then now it'll only show up on the light areas and the black outline just,
Kind of like
nothing
eats it up
happens
a
to
little
it.
bit.
I can lower the opacity on that so it's just a hint of the bricks if I want to. Um,
That's actually awesome.
it's really neat stuff. I'm going to duplicate the layer with the folder that has those white sections in it. And now I'm going to resize them and come in here. I'm going to hold Alt so they come out evenly. Don't need that one. No, I don't want to do that. I'm
Thank
going.
you, Taurus Comics. Yes, hopefully this is as entertaining and informative at the same time. Hopefully we are providing such services.
Good deal, man. What is up, Kyron? I got to give my buddy Kyron a shout out
Let's
because
shout them out.
issue 2 of Green Zone. I'm gonna take this off the screen for just a second so we can talk about old Kyron. 'Cause Kyron's kind of special. Issue 2 of Green Zone is out. People have been getting it in their mailboxes. They've been excited. They've been opening their packages and their deluxe boxes with all the cool stuff I added to it. And inside, there are some puzzles and some secret things in there that you can get, that you can find, that you can discover as you're scanning through the book. And I hit a message from Rabbit to Alice in here. It's a special video message. And so far, little Kyron Silver from California is the only person that's found it yet.
Really now?
Lots of people have found Ace message, and I will go so far as to tell all 2 people watching right now. I will go so far as to tell you that when you find one secret message on one of those pages that has a secret message, uh, there's like 6 on one page. Um, Most people find the one and they're like, "Oh, I found it," and then they move on. And there's like 6 messages on that page. They're all relatively similar messages except for one. One of them is the secret message from Rabbit to Alice. And it's a special YouTube video that's unlisted, and I've been watching because it had 21 views on it when I launched the book, just from checking, making sure the QR codes and everything worked. Like, I gave
Right.
too much away. It's so it only had 21 views on it before. Now, little Kyra Silver from California finally figured it out. He was mad at me and he was fussing at me as he was trying to find it, but he finally found it. And he decoded just about every other puzzle except for 2 so far. And frankly, one of them I will be really surprised if anybody decodes without like without finding out, without hearing the secret from me, because it's I'll be really, you got to be an uber like comic book nerd to catch one of them, to figure it out. But if you do, I'm gonna be super impressed. Some of the other ones are more simple than you think. Some of them are hidden really well in plain sight. It's really cool stuff. Green Zone or Alice Lost in Wonderland. I'm telling you, I'm really proud of Kyron. He figured it out. He found Rabbit's message first. He may be the only person that ever finds it. I thought I hit it well, but not too well. I might have hit it too well. I don't know. I'm I might have hit it too well. He finally found it and sent me a screenshot of it. So good job, Kyron. I'm
Good
proud of
on you, man. Now I really got to figure out this whole thing. I got to get myself some Lost in Wonderland here now.
you. I'm saying, man, it it was really fun. It was really fun making a secret message and adding it in there. And for the people that find it, it's really simple. It wasn't really hard to do. The next one might be more complicated, but like it's just like an audio message with an image and the captions go by with what he's saying. And but it was a really fun, really quick way to add more layers to the lore of the story and give you stuff that you can't get anywhere else. You can absolutely just read the book and enjoy it and get everything you need to know to enjoy the story from the book. But you can also like get the mini comics, and the mini comics have a whole other storyline going on when Alice was little and got to Wonderland. And you're going to start to see things in there and realize like that's not the same person that was that before, and now it's different. And why is that?
You're
And
going on like game theory levels
oh
of like
yeah,
intricate lore building here.
if you get the mini comics too, you're going to find out all kinds of cool stuff. And then the big reveal at the end of issue 2 is suddenly a much bigger reveal, and you realize, oh, there's a lot more to this than I thought. If you don't get the mini comics, you still get to enjoy the book. It's still awesome. But if you like getting the extra juicy bits, you want to get the mini comics.
Man, I gotta get the
And
juicy bits now. Now, hold up. Listen, my birthday was literally just yesterday. Now I gotta get myself a birthday gift in the form of this stuff. I gotta get the lore in on this. And by the way, he stated that he does not like you. If anything,
oh yeah, I totally sympathize with him hating me. It perfectly normal response after beating your head against the wall that long to find it. But you'd be surprised how many people messaged me and like found the obvious one and like, that's it, right? And I was like, and they're like, yeah, that's got to be it. And I'm like, okay,
see
if
when
you
you
say
then
so.
when you do that, that creates like that little test. Like screw you. Now I gotta read the whole darn thing all over again. Just, oof, that's a lot.
But like, if you like finding all the challenges, if you like solving all the puzzles, if you're the kind of guy like me that wants to go around and like go back to level 1 when you finally get the like metal breaking missile at the end of the game, and you want to go back to level 1 and get through that metal wall, there was a secret back there, and you got to get all the little side quests done, and you want to get all the little Riddler trophies and stuff. If you're that guy like I am,
Like a
then
completionist.
you're going to want to, I'm waiting for you to find this. And if you're one of those and you're an uber comic nerd, I want to see if you can actually solve the one. It's the answer is pretty similar to the other ones, because it's one of the a lot of the hidden messages on the one page are all supporting the main theme of that page. There's one that is Rabbit's message that is different, but all the rest of them are basically supporting that one message that's on that page. That's as far as I'm going to go. But
Shoot, my
anyway,
girl's into puzzles too. That's something interesting. Fiance loves puzzles, so maybe
I
I should probably gift her some of these things. Dang. Okay. Now I'm intrigued because I've always been intrigued, but right now I'm really kind of holding back because again, life be life, and planning for a wedding is very
oh man, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you got to do that. That's the important part right now.
Oh yeah.
So
Anyway,
anyway,
back
back
to
to
the
making
topic of
buildings.
making buildings and making them look, uber sexy over here.
Um,
As one should.
so I'm going to grab these little pieces here and we're going to turn these into like that that concrete trim that sticks out
I
on,
was actually gonna ask. So because I remember you, because we were on a whole different Discord and whatnot. But I've noticed that when you made like these newer buildings, you gave it that form of an edge.
Mhm.
So is this like do you think this actually ends up helping you out in the long run of like, I guess putting them into different angles or
Oh yeah, and we need to get to that pretty soon. I need to get there so I can show you how that helps in the end. Um, wait a minute. Where did that guy go? Let's see. I'm going to okay. He is somewhere and I'm not seeing it. I'm going to come up on top of this layer and paste him there and put
you're
an
gonna
outline around him.
you're gonna do the thingy in the okay, I see what you're doing there. You're giving that extra little
Yeah,
detail there.
giving an extra little bit of detail
Oh.
there. And then I'm going to copy and paste and bring it down here and just give some more complexity to that. And then I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to copy and paste and we're going to enlarge him again and move him up a little bit and we're going to move him out a little bit and this will be the big topper on top of the building there.
You know,
And so okay, we're going that far with
yeah.
it. All
I mean,
right.
it's still crazy to think, at least on my end of things, like it's crazy to think how it's like this. There's like a lot going on here, but it's really kind of God. I can't, because I like to English and I like the ability to speak, but unfortunately, my fiance has gifted me the ability to not speak. This
Yeah.
woman, I love her dearly. Anyways, but I was gonna say it's really crazy to think about like the amount of intricate detailing that goes into like making all these buildings. Like though these things are like in the background and whatnot, it's crazy to think like just how much effort goes into like especially like just in buildings in general. Like it's something that you don't really think about when having to
Hmm.
make buildings. That's what I was trying to get to. Finally, it's more like the levels of intricacy of like just learning how to make a building, just learning how to create just architecture in general. Like the amount of stuff that kind of goes into it. Again, it's kind of playing back into the theme of what we talked about last time, especially with theming and the city's overall environment or like the overall like aesthetic of a location. But again, still being able to kind of see like the level of intricacy that you're trying to put into a building says a lot too. And I mean, like, especially given like all these tiny details, I never really would have ever considered thinking of that. Like, I never would have considered making a building looking like that in general. Because for me, thus far, I've only been making just like plain building blocks and whatnot as buildings. So doing this would make the buildings go much more intricately, and again, just adds that little extra flair in the process.
Oh, it does. It gets complicated, but it especially if you're trying to design a building that you want to be able to use again
Right.
from several angles and stuff, then
Hmm.
this comes in really, really handy. Um, I am free transforming the entire block, the entire folder right now, so I can put it into perspective and I'm just like freehanding a perspective, which I really shouldn't do. I
Yeah.
should be, I should have like lined up some lines so I know what I'm aiming for. And instead of just trying to, I can eyeball it, but, but we're going to eyeball it because,
Hey,
we're
listen,
brave.
we chuck ourselves to the wind here. We see where the wind takes us, and well, for me, I know that I'm definitely breaking wind at some point. Got to put it in front. So he also goes, you don't notice buildings until they aren't there, or until buildings look wrong. Then you really notice them.
Yeah,
This
you do.
this do be true, and I think this is also interesting, seeing how like you're adding all those like extra edges, and now you're trying to like that part to me is actually going to be interesting. I would love to see how like you're gonna make this all work out at the end here.
See, that's the thing. When you've got them all in this folder together,
Oh shit.
they and they're all objects that you can manipulate still, it really, really makes it easy when you go to do all the little fine details. Not necessarily easy, but it's
it
definitely
it very much lightens the load for
oh
sure.
yeah, for sure.
All right,
I'm
and I'm also
trying
now
to
noticing what you're doing over here as well. Like now that I'm actually seeing you do this, I'm like, oh, because at first I was thinking like, how the heck are you gonna like get those two again, like you having to invert that and make basically showing off the corner. That I was questioning how you're going to do that. Now looking at you, like again, trusting the process here,
Mhm.
that's very interesting. Getting to see all that kind of like line up and whatnot.
And you remember when I free transformed those image objects originally just a touch, so when I went into scale and rotate, I could grab the sides and move them sideways or up and down.
Yes.
Um, Now that we have free transformed the whole shape into perspective, if I come in with the object select tool and I select this object, now when I grab this side, not only is it going side to side, but it will stay at the angle that it was set at. So it'll just keep
Mm,
getting smaller as it goes out into perspective that direction as far as I want to send it out.
right.
And so I can grab this corner now, and if I need these corners to come out a little wider so that they look more like they're sticking out on that side, I can do that now. And I just gotta come down and grab those edges and move it to the side. And then I'm gonna move into the middle here in a second and come in and do make these guys match up. And I can just grab this guy and move it down here until this one and this one are going to just about match up right. And if I really need to, I can now I could grab all of the pieces and move them into the same folder so they have the same outline around them, and it
Hmm.
would get rid of this outline in the middle that's darker. Or if I want to leave that little bit darker outline just to show that, that's where the pieces meet up, I could do that. It's fine. But if I want them to all look like they're in the same thing, I can move them all up now into the same folder. But
That's
first, I'm
right.
gonna move this and try and find those points where it would naturally line up with each other. And you notice I imported the bricks as a repeating texture, but
Right.
then I turned them into a image material. I
Right.
flattened them into an image material. So when I bent the building into perspective, the bricks went too. And that is so nice. That
Also, just had to shout out my good friend Brooke over here from PD Hero Comics. She ended up typing in one
Oh,
pro tip:
yeah?
utilize programs like Blender, 3D, and build city-based structures that can be shot in a perspective and use the base for rendering in Photoshop. That could always be a really good. That's
Mhm.
actually not even a bad idea. Now that's if you know how to use Blender. I
Oh, yeah.
relatively do not know in any way, shape, or form how to use Blender, but I
See,
mean,
and that's one thing I like about Clip Studio is it naturally comes with, like, 3D aspects that you can use.
yes.
I have 3D cities downloaded that I can bring in, and I will put that 3D city into perspective, and the buildings that are way, way back, when I tell it to find outlines on them, that looks okay for the way, way back. And then the buildings that are closer up, I'll use my images that I've made and throw that over them. But I already have the perspective laid out from the 3D buildings. So then I just got to bend my building images to match up perspective.
Hmm.
Wham, bam. I've got a city that looks like I drew the entire thing done in an hour rather than a day. And
Right. It's really crazy. I feel like most, in my personal opinion, that nobody asked for. Especially learning how to create buildings and whatnot. I feel like comic book companies should have to some degree, especially if we're talking the big two, red and blue, Marvel and DC. It would be interesting to see, like, I guess, seeing people actually going as far as to creating, like, have a whole team creating nothing but building assets. Like,
oh, man.
I can imagine like the team would come up with like a copious amounts of these things. I mean, to think you're only making just like right now there's only one, but you've made numerous amounts of these things.
Hmm.
So it's
Yes, I
like,
have.
and someone's here, Mr. Midlife Crisis. I mean, ouch.
What is up, homie?
This is what I'm talking about, Uncle Fish, and then the little salute.
All right. What is up, midlife? That's my boy right there. He's been a great encouragement, been a great supporter, been a good friend. Uh, Nobody will hype you up more about how much he digs your stuff. Man, I love him. He is the best.
And we appreciate this over at Ultra Comics.
So see, now that I've dropped all those guys into the same folder, now that giant outline down the middle is
Right.
gone.
Oh,
And
okay.
now it's just around the outside because I've grabbed all those assets
And
from
then
the other building and moved it all the way up into that folder.
okay.
And I can still like these bars here are still on a vector layer, so I can like just click on them and move them until like they match up on that corner if I want to, and just have that be one bar there. I can move the ones in the background that are gray. Um, you know what I did?
What did you
I,
do?
I'll tell you what I did.
All right.
I did a dumb thing.
I mean, don't we
Let's
all?
see. When I moved those bars, I moved them one way because I was planning on putting the building in perspective one way, so I
Right.
would see the edges on one side, and I didn't move them the way I ended up moving the building.
You did the thing, but you didn't do the thing however you wanted to
I
do that.
did the thing the wrong direction. So, but I can
Mm.
still push them over to the side. I may have to bump them up a little bit, but I'm just using my arrow key, so I'm nudging them just a little bit at a time, and there we go. And then those guys stick out just a little bit, but
Mm.
I can
And
I
Russ,
can fix it.
yes, you can. And then not only that, my friend Brooks here said, "Hey guys, some artists utilize Google Maps as well. You can zoom in into any location on Earth, like Paris, and get a ton of details that can be used as references, etc." Which is
Mhm.
actually not a bad point. That's actually a fairly, I don't even know why I haven't thought of that myself. Probably just go get some images of Miami or probably something of like Orlando, because that's where more or less my fictional city is from. So that's
Yeah,
actually
I just had to do that on a book I was doing for a client because the whole book took place in New York, but like not just New York, it took place in very specific locations. What's up, Ty? Thank you for coming over,
how
man.
you doing?
I know I'm streaming to TikTok, but I can't see any of the messages there. It doesn't come through on Restream. So I appreciate you coming over here and hanging out so we can see your comments. Thank you very much. Um, but yeah, like it had to take place at like the Metropolitan Museum of Art, of Modern Art and stuff. So like I had to know what that looks like. So Google Maps came in real handy. And then I'm like turning the camera around looking. I'm like, "Oh wait, there's a gap between those two buildings over there. That monster could come right through here." And all of a sudden like it really opened my mind up for what I could do. And now it still looks like New York. And if you're from there, you're going to recognize where you are. But, of course, he had to put very specific places. It couldn't just be like a museum and I could have just drawn whatever.
It
It
couldn't
has
just
to
be
be that
generic city,
specific.
5.4 over here, and
Yeah.
generic museum number 75 or whatever.
That would have been nice. I
And
wouldn't have minded
actually,
that
while
one.
you're in the process of doing this, it actually reminds me because what's it called? Manga artists actually have a very interesting thing because obviously most, or if not majority, of mangas usually tend to take place in Japan.
Mhm.
So instead of mostly drawing those regions or drawing any of those locations, sometimes they'll actually take photos and
Yeah.
they'll render it out in just a like monochrome color scheme, and they'll just kind of pop it in there, just so they'll have the characters interacting with that environment as best as they can. Obviously, it has to fit within some kind of a style, but that's a really
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's one really cool thing that I like that they can do, but then that has to be like the style of your book.
pretty
Like
much.
to be able to go out and like just take photos of the parking lot by your apartment or your apartment complex or the city you live in or the alley beside your house or whatever,
Yeah,
and then adjust those levels and make it a really cool black and white background. But then in my mind, you really have to stick to that from now on, like for it to look consistent. And that's what I'm afraid of. Like I
yeah,
know I've seen some guys that will I've seen some guys that will like pose their friends and then trace over them to draw them, and which is fine, especially if you've got like a big bowed up bodybuilder buddy that wants to do, wants to pose as your superhero.
yeah,
Great.
makes
It
sense.
works fine up until you need to draw them doing something that your buddy can't do. And like
Mm.
it's really obvious when like you're trying to draw somebody flying and it's clearly just the dude standing on the ground with his fist in the air and then you rotated it. Like the weight doesn't sit the same. He just you can tell he's standing and not flying.
Right.
And or like, you want to put him in a supercar, but all you have is your mom's Subaru. Like it's pretty clear that's not a supercar, or the
This
parts
is
that you
true.
drew don't match up because, you're not at the level of drawing photorealistic stuff yet.
Or
You're
they
at
say,
the
yeah, at that point. I was also going to mention too, especially when it comes to posing. I mean, got the little T13 little suckers right over here. These little posable little
Oh
figurines.
man, I love those things.
Yeah, so I actually remember getting this, and I actually made like this little cover for like a Christian based Power Rangers idea that I had called the Super Saints, and I actually remember taking all of these and I actually put them all in a fun little pose. I put took a picture of them holding them or doing whatever, and then I started tracing over them. So it did help out to some extent, but when it comes to like supercars and all that other kind of stuff, you're probably better off just looking at images via through Google because tracing that whole thing out is a process and a half.
Yeah. Which is another nice thing about Clip Studio being naturally able to accept 3D models is like when I knew I was gonna the vehicles in Green Zone were gonna be so unique because they have to be these big overbuilt tanks for the
Yes.
cops to drive so that you can deal with people that might be shooting fireballs or, causing earthquakes or whatever. Um, they had to be overbuilt and they were gonna kinda be their own character in the book, like they were gonna appear so much. I had a buddy of mine that does 3D models and stuff for gaming and things
Ooh.
and miniatures. I hired him, sent him drawings of the vehicles the way I sketched it out, and he gave me back a detailed 3D model of the cars, and then I can put it in Clip Studio. I can put 10 of them on there, turn them all whichever direction I want them to be parked. I can move the camera around, get the angle I want, and then I can trace over that. And it's my drawing and my style, but I don't have to spend an hour per car plotting it all out in perspective. Remember what side was the gas tank on? How many lug nuts were on the wheel? Like, I don't have to worry about that. I can see where the door handles go. I can see
Right.
where the antenna is. And it helped me keep it consistent, make it look good, and it made drawing those cars so much faster. I could have drawn them all from scratch, but it just would have taken a lot longer. And, it's all about saving time and getting stuff done. Um,
Then PD here, Brooke ends up asking, "Great trailer, by the way. What program do you use to make it?"
oh, do you mean the trailer for Alice Lost in Wonderland that I did, or like the opening for this show? Just to be clear, so I know which one we're talking about.
We need.
The animated trailer that I did for Alice Lost in Wonderland, I animated in Clip Studio and then edited the clips together. And some of them I had to like layer and superimpose over each other in CapCut because like some of it would have just been too many things moving in Clip Studio for it to not want to crash on me because
Mm.
I had a bunch of stuff moving in a bunch of directions to get all this perspective and depth and stuff. So that was tough. But I could do like the backgrounds in one layer and then the midground in one layer with transparency behind it and then
Mhm.
just compile those things and make it work right. Yeah, Alice was absolutely uh it was all animated in Clip Studio and then put together in CapCut, but since then, I bought a copy of Moho, and Moho is freaking awesome software for animation. They
Okay.
had like version 12 on sale for like 25 bucks. Like the newest version, which is like 14 something or 15, whatever, is like 500 bucks to buy it. And I didn't want to spend that. But for 25 bucks, I could get the older version. And it it's a great animation software, but it lets you add bones to just about any image.
Ooh.
So, like, if I wanted to take a screenshot of you right now and cut you out of the background and then cut your arms out and make them all different layers in Photoshop, and then I could assign bones to them and put a little skeleton inside, and I could have you wiggling around doing whatever I wanted you to do. Um, Speaking of which, I'm gonna pull up a video real quick and show you a couple of things that I did from my old buddy Kyron the other day.
Below Kyrie. Also, Brooke ends up asking one more time, how many hours did it take for you to make said trailer?
That trailer, I thought that trailer took me about 4 days. Turns out it took me 15 days, and I didn't realize it because I got lost in the hyperfocus and lost all track of what I was doing.
Oh yeah, I
So
can imagine the level of detail you're trying to get in there, all the intricate movements and whatnot. So
yeah,
I
it
can imagine.
oh, is that where it is? I don't think that's where it is. That's not where it is. I don't know what I just did. Um, that's not where. Come on, folder does not want to stay open.
And we're getting the
Um,
thing with the thing.
don't have it in Chiron. Is it in? Oh, yep, here it is.
Kumbaya.
Like this was one of the first ones I did uh, for Chiron, and this is straight off of the image. All right, let me put it on a loop. I I cut Starcore out of the image on the comic book page and painted in the trees behind him. So I had the trees as one
Mm.
image and him as a separate piece. And then I put a skeleton inside Starcore, very simple skeleton, and like the little bones go down his fingers and stuff so that his fingers move a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then I just enlarged him and shrunk the background and had him bend his hands in a little bit, and it came out looking really good, and it took me like 2 hours to do. And it it's crazy some of the stuff you can do in there really quickly. Let's see, where's scene 2? I like the way this one came out too because this is straight out of the comic book panel as well, and, it just like, it looks really neat for a little motion comic scene, and just boom, 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 the panels out of the comic
Oh
book,
no,
and
this is
I did,
dangerous.
like, 3 or 4 of these shots in, like, 6 hours, I think, and
Sir, you're giving me dangerous ideas right now. You're giving me very, very dangerous ideas.
I mean, you gotta understand a little bit about the animation basics to start with, and you have to understand how
Hmm.
keyframing works,
Hmm.
but the skeleton part is a little complicated, but really not. Like, I could tell you how I could run you through the basics of how the skeletons work in, like, 30 minutes to an hour. Um,
That
and
should be its own separate video for a different day.
it's Oh man, it's so cool. I want to rebuild models for everybody that I did in Clip Studio. I want to rebuild really detailed models of Alice so that I can turn her head whichever direction I want to do and
Shoot, I
things
might
like
as well just
that.
chuck you some PNGs of some of my characters, see if we can go for it there. I mean,
Oh man,
that's just an opinion though.
it's it is it is so much faster in so many ways. Uh I'm going to be doing a whole lot of my animation over there. Yeah, that doesn't help to see. Um You're not gonna be able to hear the video if I play it through here. That's the only problem. Uh, maybe you can. Maybe you can.
Potentially,
Hold on, let
who
me
knows?
see.
Actually, while you're gonna find that, just seeing all that process, that whole animation stuff, just kind of got me like sparking an idea. So I mentioned this on my TikTok, but I had this idea for creating this, like this strange, like style, like superhero universe. That honestly, I just call the Ultra Pulp verse,
Mhm.
and is basically it's kind of like taking all of this Mr. Fish animation school. Yes, I agree. We should totally have it.
Next time I'm working on an animation, I'm absolutely gonna run y'all through what
Oh,
I'm
you
doing.
kidding me? I'm chucking myself over here. I'm gonna get the crash course. I'm gonna like tell myself while we're streaming. I'm gonna like, hey, pay attention. This is the important part because I definitely need that type of situation. Anyways, back to my topic here. But like, I had this idea for creating this ultra pulp universe, and it had like I had this one character, Mr. Midnight, and the Solar Sentinel, the Mustang. Like characters like those, very like a steampunk superhero setting. And seeing all this come to place, I'm just like, I would hurt myself in the process, but I know I would be very happy with myself getting to see all that come to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I don't think you're gonna be able to hear the music going along with this, unfortunately, but, I'm gonna try, let's see. We're
That is
gonna
true. Deadlines
see
are
if this
intensive.
works.
That is true, Brooke.
Alright, let's give it a
And
shot.
then I was able to hear that. That's stinking awesome, man. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm pretty proud of the way that came out.
Oh
I
yeah,
gotta admit,
as
there's rough spots to it that I wish I could have done better, that I could have done better now with Moho, but, yeah, it was really something.
and then my friend
Um,
over here mentions that you should do some tutorials for sure.
oh, yeah. I'm absolutely going to, as soon as I get a little bit further into it, because right now I'm still watching the tutorials and learning, but everything I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, I could jump off and do this and this and this. Like, I can already tell I'm gonna have to save up like the $500 and get the full package. I absolutely have to, because the stuff they can do in the new version is just leaps and bounds beyond what I can do now. Like they've got, the bones is awesome. Being able to do that and rig a skeleton into a figure and make them move around to do what I want to do without like having to redraw all those frames and stuff is amazing. And it will do it so much smoother and better than me trying to force Clip Studio to do the same thing will do.
Mm.
But then they have things like Venusian bones, where I could set up 5 different arms if I want to, that have 5 different hands and positions and stuff to them, and I can switch between them at will. So, like, I can have this hand position moving like this, like come over here, and then I can have it change into this and come in front of me, and I could have it change to this if I want. I could have it change to like her holding a gun at you, or holding a gun out to the side, or holding a gun this way, or having it be her fist this way, or her hand out this
Mm.
way. You can just have it change between all these things. And so I can just animate her and then say, okay, now I need the hand with the gun pointing straight at you, in her hand now, and switch to that version of her hand, but the animation all stays the same, and then have it switch to the version where like she has her gun up or something, whatever I needed to do,
Right.
instead of having to like make a 3D version, a 3D body of her moving around doing this. I can just switch between images instead of having
Okay.
to like draw all those different things. You can even you can even switch between, like, I saw one guy was really clever. He made transition frames and attached them to the arms. So when he went from like a flat hand to a fist, he had this blurred arm.
Uh,
So when he's moving the hand from
uh,
open hand to fist, he goes from open hand, blur, fist, and when it runs by quickly,
what's it?
it
What's it?
just looks like he closed his hand and smeared into it.
No, there. It's. I know the animation term for it. The
Yeah,
tweening. It's the tweening.
yeah.
It's the in between.
And
That's
it's
what it is.
faking that motion blur with, like,
Yes.
smearing the, like, having the hand stretch out as it moves and stuff. Like, he's using that frame to, like, fake that image to make it look like you just smeared
It
between that,
basically
and
creates like a sense of motion, even
yeah,
if it's like say
it
three drawings. You have point A, and then you have the
and he
point
made it
B, which is the
kinda
image.
generic enough that he can use it going either way. It can be whatever hand position he wants to change it into, and just throw that little smear in there and it works. It's really smart.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. That's look. I mean, just like making these buildings, obviously you want to try to find ways to cut down the work load by like a metric ton. Also,
Mhm.
Ty Williams says now Mr. Fish is going to be hired for trailers for everybody.
I Kyron hit me up about a trailer when I finished the Alice one. And I was like, dude, you really don't want to know how much that's going to cost because it's time intensive. Now I could actually get some pretty cool images done pretty quickly. And like you would be surprised how much adding like 2 or 3 or 4 like second long clips with some really cool motion in
Mm,
among images of like panning and zooming across your regular artwork
mhm.
could really make it pop. Going all in on a couple of seconds here or there would be well worth the money to make just any regular video pop a lot. Um, let's see. Oh, that's long. Let me pull it up on the screen here.
Yeah, she goes, regarding the opening title scene, it had an anime type effect, which I believe is an influence here. And for me, I can do frame by frame animation in Photoshop, but it takes forever to do so. That is very true. Even on Procreate, it does have like an animation tool
Oh yeah,
for
that's
that.
what Mr. Midlife uses is Procreate to do all his
Oh
animations.
my god! I do know that I do have the program, but I have not touched it because I am so intimidated by it. Procreate Dreams, I think it is, which is the animation thing for Procreate. So there's like the average Procreate app, which is like the typical art stuff. But then there's Procreate Dreams, which is specifically tailored for animation. And with that one, uh, there's a weird thing with Procreate where it's like you tap in, like say for instance, if I want to get into a drawing, like I'll tap it and I'll do whatever I can. Like I'll modify it, I'll draw it, whatever, and I can go back again, forward again while I'm in there. But once I get out of it and then go back, those modifications are no longer like eligible to be like redone, like for when I first drew the first
Mhm.
time. With Procreate Dreams, it's like you can go in and out as many times as you want, and you can like basically like eradicate the whole thing if you needed to, which is like which that part is scary. But for me, like animation is already a lot of a hassle. Making a comic is already a hassle and then some. So I I gotta give props to you, man. That like having to do animation while making comics while taking it.
Yeah, like I said, I got lost in it and it poked my head up 2 weeks later,
Mm.
and I did not realize it took me as long as it did.
So with the was it Moho,
Yeah,
and is that
yeah.
like a monthly subscription or is that like a full
Oh,
blown?
no, that's a one-time
Oh, one
I
time and you're
own
good to go.
yeah, they sell
Oh,
you the program. So, I mean, like and they sell upgrades. So like if I buy like 14.5, then when they get to like version 17 I want to upgrade, they sell a cheaper upgrade that you can get so that you can just click up and get that tier and get to the new software. Um let's see, I want to pull one of these in.
this is interesting.
Let's pull this one in and see. I used the same image material things to do this animated scene for the city as it was scrolling by. And oh, I might ought to bring it up so y'all can see what I'm doing too, and
That'd be kind
not
of
just
nice.
not just think I'm showing you something and I'm just talking to myself.
Not like what happened the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but to get these buildings scrolling by and to look like they're 3D, uh, which I think came out as a pretty convincing effect, honestly.
Honestly, I could have been told otherwise. Like
Um,
you could have told me that, oh yeah, no, these are all 3D assets, and I would have 100% believed you right now.
yeah, what I did was I made the same way I did these buildings, I made these versions of the buildings and then I colored them. And I had a whole effect for that. We may talk about that too, how I did that
Hmm.
later in another episode. But I made these buildings and I did slightly different colored versions for the three sides that you're going to see. And then
Right.
I saved them all in a folder together, overlapping each other as like
Hmm.
building 1, 2, 3, 4. Saved those as assets so that I could bring those assets back in, and they're all image material layers so I can move them around. I
Right.
move them with the freehand tool first before I save them in that folder. and that allowed me to be able to and to move them. And then let's see, I had the white background on. Where is that's not it? Here it is. And then I made this like perspective grid to
Mm.
show me perspective on the top and the bottom, and so I could kind of keep things lined up. And then I would just, as a building would come into frame on the edge of the scene over here, as it would come into frame and line up with one of these squares somewhere, like say, let me go see one more. Okay, so like where the edge of this building right here lines up
Yes.
with the edge of this square almost. Let's see if the next frame's better. It's yeah, okay, right there. It's on the edge of that square. So then what I did was I took this object that was over here behind this one, and I grabbed the corners of it and I pulled it out until the edge of it came over here, and then I bent the top and the bottom until it matched into perspective, and then I set that as a keyframe on that first frame where it comes in and you can see it. That's a keyframe, so it needs to be shaped like that on that frame. And then I would scroll through the timeline until that same building, was over here on this side.
Hmm.
And we'll say this is the same building. It's not. I would turn off that outside image of it, so I was just seeing the other ones. And now where this one had been sticking out here
Right.
so that it would match up in the other perspective, now I make a keyframe and I move it so that it matches up over here.
Okay.
And so now it's going to naturally change it from that shape to this shape as it goes along. And then I do the same thing with this one. I make sure it matches up this way on the last frame, and then it's bent on the other frame to the other side, and then it just naturally moves them along. And then when I put this one back in front of them, it blocks wherever it's overlapping, so they just scroll along. And then I take that whole building and put an outline around the whole thing. So if there's any little gaps along the way between those image materials as they're moving and bending, every once in a while there'd be a little white gap you would see through. Putting a
Oh,
black outline around all three of them in a folder fills that in with black so you can't see
interesting.
it. And then as you can see here, when I rendered it, I turned off that guide
Hmm.
and I turned off the background. So when I rendered it, I rendered it as an AVI file with a transparent background, and
Okay.
I did a bunch of these so I could then layer them all over each other, and you have a whole bunch of buildings going by, and they're all in front of each other, and the buildings in front move faster, and the ones in the back move slower, and everything. So it has a really cool perspective of it going by through the city,
Ooh.
and layering it like that let me make this super complicated. I could not have done the whole city in here
Right.
in Clip Studio without crashing it and without driving myself insane.
I can only
But
imagine.
doing it in layers like this let me do easy to see layers and then just stack those up. And it was so easy, so easy.
Mm.
I mean it wasn't easy, but it made it really
Much more
doable.
eligible to work with.
Mhm. Man, we've been going for an hour and a half, and
I know,
I
for real.
am I
We're
am
half that.
thirsty and I am out of water. So
Man, you can't dehydrate on
somebody's
stream, man.
somebody's been running their mouth, man.
I
Somebody's
mean, hey,
been
listen.
talking up a storm.
Hey, we're just yapping. We're just men yapping things out.
I gotta say, I really do appreciate everybody in the chat coming in to hang out. Thank you, PD Heroes. Thank you, Mr. Midlife. Thank you, little Kyron from California. Thank you, Ty Williams. Uh, it's great having y'all. We're going to try and keep this as regular as we can on Wednesday afternoon, see how it goes. And it's a good time for both of us. If it goes well, maybe we'll put some extras in there.
I mean,
but
who
it
knows?
was a
We'll
lot
probably
of fun
start.
having
Maybe
you.
we'll do some fun little rolling for heroes and whatnot.
Oh
That'd be
man. See, that's a show I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to bring in other artists and do a show where we like randomly roll up some superpowers and then we all draw a character and see what you come up with, see what I come up with, see what Kyron comes up with, and like, and see how we all took our own different takes on the same idea. And like I think that would be so much fun.
actually, funnily enough, this Friday I'm actually gonna create the video for it. So I'm gonna be using my fiance's dice tower. I'm gonna buy one of my own at some point, but I'm gonna be rolling up some dice. I'm gonna be obviously creating my own character. It would be awesome if you were to partake in that because that would be stinking awesome. Maybe we should make it a whole stream. See, I gotta get me one that like looks like that or
Well, you
something.
got to build this by scratch because they don't make a
Oh, that's a
Castle
scratch build.
gray skull dice tower. Like, yeah, I made this from scratch, man. Like, it comes apart so I can put like a tea light in here and have his eyes glow, and everything. Like, yeah, I built this because my wife started buying me all the little mini He-Man guys from like the dollar store and stuff,
Oh,
and by the time she got me the whole collection, I was like, well, I need some place to put them. And then I was like, well, I could use a dice tower. And so, yeah, I built this out of like foam and uh, a couple of cups. And like, that's a yogurt cup. And it's mostly just insulation foam.
yeah,
But
I can totally see like the foam aspect of it because I used to. Well, I don't think I've ever
oh,
worked with stuff like that.
top of a 2-liter bottle. That was the hardest thing to figure out. And once I
Oh
got
my god,
that,
that
I
is
was
so cool.
I was
But
off
yeah,
to the
no, but
races.
yeah. Anyways, but I was gonna mention too that this Friday I'm gonna be making a Rolling for Heroes video because I always want to work on something like that because I think that'd be a little interesting. And then who knows, maybe from the list and whatnot from that video, y'all can check out how I would do it. We still need to come back to Four Tales to finish our Heroes D&D game.
I'm down. I'm
Same
down.
here. I want to explore Rocket Fist a little bit more. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it could be a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind doing that semi regularly too. It's fun and I miss doing it. I just, everybody's busy and getting everybody scheduled at the same time,
Life be
is
lifing
the
and it
whole
be
thing.
lifing too hard.
What is up, Julius? It's good to see you, man. Glad to
Hey,
have you
howdy,
here.
hey.
I mean, we're on our way out for the night for the
Yeah.
day, but it's good to have you in here, and we're going to be back next Wednesday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time,
Florida
2:30
time, baby.
Central, and so we'll see. Let's see. Roll for Heroes makes me wish I drew.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you.
the best way that I would compensate for that, use Hero Forge. That's I love using Hero Forge, especially because it's like a nice little reference. And I also have the kit batching feature where like you're able to kind of like modify it a little bit more,
Yeah.
give it more detail. So I have yet to ever use that
Oh
again.
yeah. I may know a little bit about what you're talking about there
Yeah.
with I might. I'm just saying I might.
Wait,
You
that's
know.
actually made from Hero Forge?
Oh yeah. Like
No
I
way.
I'm only admitting that here, but like her hair is like demon horns, and
No. That's
like
actually cool, dude.
I had to I had to move so much stuff around. Like, oh, I can't even remember what the bottom part of his rib cage is there. It's not a mustache, but it's something like that. Like I had to use all kinds of weird stuff
Oh my gosh.
to to get the shapes that I needed for him. But I had to build his hat out of like other stuff and put it together. Come on, focus on.
Yeah,
There we go.
there it is. I see it.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah. His mustache isn't a mustache. Like I can't remember. Like the beginning of it's a piece of armor, and then the sides of it are like horns. And I had to get really creative putting stuff together. I maxed out the number of pieces you can kit bash to a
What was it, like
figure,
20 or something like that?
something like that. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you later, PD Heroes. Thank
All
you
right.
for coming
Thank
and
you,
hanging
Brooke.
out.
Thanks for popping on over.
Oh,
All right.
5 a.m. Just got in from the office. Whew.
And
All right. We'll see you next Wednesday, Julius. It's
see you
good
next
having you, man.
Wednesday, everyone.
All right.
Well, I think this was. Sorry, continue. Because
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
now I was gonna say because I don't know if this is a proper time to kind of start wrapping things up here and all that kind of fun stuff.
Hmm.
Well, I guess if I had to end things off here, if anyone would like to see any of the channels that I've been operating off of, you guys can find me over at Esteban Carrero. That's going to be Esteban, and the last name being Ca, two R's, Ero. But I happen to have
Should be linked in the information for like the YouTube video.
yes,
So
and
it
if
should
you
be
guys
all
want,
linked there.
yes, and also I have a secondary channel which I'm actually going to be start uploading like every Friday, just Fridays for now. That one is going to be called Your Weird Uncle E. So again, should be in the link in the description of this whole situation here. But that's my newer channel. I'm going to be doing some public domain redesign videos, rolling for heroes, and some other fun, intricate little things here and there to kind of spice up that channel and whatnot. So thank you so much, Mr. Fish, for taking the time out of your day to at least get us back onto the pre-creating or pre-made building brushes and getting to see all that kind of stuff, kind of like being animated, bringing it to life. And I can't wait to see where the future holds off with our streams and whatnot.
Oh yeah. And if you want to follow me, it is Mr. Fish Comics everywhere. Go Mr. Fish right now will take you to the pre-launch page for issue 3 of Alice Lost in Wonderland, and we're like halfway to hitting our first pre-launch goal. If we get 50 people following the pre-launch page, it releases a free 3-inch sticker for everybody that backs on the first day. So go over and follow the page now. You can even go to that page and download a free digital copy of issue 1. If you want to read issue 1, check it out, see if this story's for you. Spoiler alert, it is. You're going to love it. You're going to be hooked. Go check it out. Go MrFish.com will take you right there. And these assets that I built here today, this like building assets, the main base building block that I started from, I'm going to be uploading to my Patreon, Mr. Fish Comics, probably by the end of the day today. So you can go over there and download it for free if you want to. All of the assets I've ever made, brushes, stuff for Clip Studio, are all there for free that you can download. Page setups for doing mangas, all kinds of stuff you can get for free at my Patreon, Mr. Fish Comics.
Y'all better go do that like now ago. In my opinion, that nobody asked for.
All right. Well, that's us for today. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Stay ultra.